Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Follow the leader when the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
You make me wanna throw my picture out the window. Tell Kitsy out to cut the phone poles. Break my knees so I can move. Cause you a bugaboo, a bugaboo. I wanna put your number on the call block. Have AOL, make my email stop. Cause you a bugaboo. You bugging what you bugging, who you bugging me. And don't you see it ain't cool. It's not hot that you be calling me, stressing me, paging my beat, but you're just non-stop. And it's not hot that you be leaving me messages every 10 minutes and then you stop by. When I first met you, you were cool, but it was game, you had me fooled. Cause 20 minutes after I gave you my number, you already had my mailbox full. So what? You bought a pair of shoes, but now I guess you think I owe you. You don't have to call as much as you do. I give them back to be through with you. And so what? My mama likes you. Like you. But now I guess you think I will too. Even if the whole city likes you too. I don't really care cause you're a bugaboo. You make me wanna throw my picture out the window. Tell you see I to cut the phone poles. Break my lease so I can move. Cause you a bugaboo, a bugaboo, a bugaboo. I wanna put your number on the call block. AOL, make my email stop. Cause you a bugaboo. You bugging what you bugging, who you bugging me. I ain't cool. It's not hot. Then when I'm blocking your phone number, you call me over your
Shout
best
out
friend's
to-
house. And it's not hot.
I don't know what you call the original Destiny, DC4? I don't know how it goes. That is from the Writing on the Wall album. You know, this video had Kobe in it. This is when Beyonce was still doing her half braid and then the free flowing thing on the back. I believe that part of this video, wasn't it filmed at Crenshaw High School? The scenes, the scene with Kobe in it, the locker scene in the field. I think that was filmed at Crenshaw High. I think so. And I know that I think we're walking on Melrose for part of it, I believe. So interesting when you listen to something like that. You know, they're talking about tell MCI to cut the phone poles down. People probably don't even remember what MCI was. They don't even know. They're like, who? What do they do? You know? Tell AOL to make my emails stop. Man, dial up. We have come such a long way. Can you imagine? I mean, for those of, well, I'm sure most of you are of age. If we would have had a tool like this iPhone in our youth, man, the debauchery that would have been captured. You know, we did our dirt in private. We took our lumps in private. We took real life chances out there, survived and kept it moving.
You know, with you saying that, I think we should give grace to today's generation.
For sure.
Because, let's keep it real, y'all was ratchets.
Man.
Y'all was super ratchet.
Little bit.
What was the documentary? The Freaknik documentary? Everybody was over here scared that, you know, the kids are going to... Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it was a lot of debauchery and a lot of just... The way we talk trash about today's generation, I mean,
you know what's interesting?
It was crazy back then, too.
So I know one of the producers of that. I used to actually work with him at BET. Shout out to P. Frank Williams. He is responsible for a lot of stuff. I wonder if they're still moving forward with that. And the reason why I ask is not that there's a linear connection here, but you guys rock with me. Follow me. I feel like, you know, you can get this, where I'm going with this. Freaknik was a certain time in history, right? The mindset behind it was different. What I feel young adults and teens thought they were looking for in that era was a little different. You know, it's a time capsule. It's a moment in time. And the reality of Freaknik was, as much as it was fun, as much as it was partying, like most things, when you have a situation where men and women get together and alcohol and excitement might be in the mix, I'm sure that there are some stories that fall in line with sexual assault. And so you can't cover Freaknik and the topic without kind of diving into that. And I just wonder how that looks like with, some of the videos, some of the footage that might have been shown. Because again, it was a different era. And some of the things that people may deem acceptable, may have deemed acceptable back then, are no longer true in current society. And we get into a lot of debates about that. We hear a lot of conversation about whether these things were this or that, and if the individuals participating in it knew and had agency in their choices and things of that nature. So I just don't know if realistically the climate is right for a Freaknik documentary. We haven't heard anything about it. I feel like it's something that people want to see and something that, will do well. But I do think that you have to be careful in how you approach it because you want to be authentic. But then there's some certain realities about that time period and things that might be on camera and how people react to those things now. We don't necessarily laugh and joke about the same things that we did before, or don't have the sort of bird's eye humor approach to some of these topics.
Careful to who?
People seem to be triggered a lot by certain things. You saw it a lot when even these stories, like, for example, with these lawsuits that came out over the past few weeks, people get triggered. They project a lot. And, I've seen a lot of conversation amongst millennials. Here's something, the grooming conversation. That is probably not a conversation that you or I had a great deal of, back in the day about certain things,
So you think cancel culture could come into play with regards to this doc?
I don't know if I would call it cancel culture. I just think that there definitely some of the things that might be considered or might have been considered fun, lighthearted, whimsical, just a moment in time, might be offensive to some in 2023.
Okay, well, with that being said, and maybe, I don't know when the documentary was supposed to come out or whatnot, but maybe the hiatus is to touch on exactly what it is that you're talking about. Maybe adding that part to the documentary, like acknowledging how, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the activities, a lot of stuff that was said, a lot of the actions, was done at that time. But in 2023, obviously, we don't feel that way. Maybe they'll touch on that.
I think they have to. I don't think that there's any way the doc could get made without, especially the caliber of people that are working on it, without including that in there. But I also think that there has to be a balance because there was fun and people aren't necessarily going into this, I don't think, looking for it to be a statement on assault. And that could be a little heavy. So I think it is a tricky thing, and we'll have to see what comes of it. But, it's an interesting thing to look back at. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. We're going to talk about LaTavia Robinson and what happened to her once she left Destiny's Child, plus a couple other stories we got for you. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain, Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up. Level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yes, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, it's Tuesday. We're just rolling through these topics and headlines. So, Destiny's Child, the original version of them, it's been about over 20 years since they broke up, right? I believe that was in about 2000 because I remember going to NBA All-Star it said Oakland, but it was in San Francisco. And I went to the Players Association party and Destiny's Child were one of the performers of the night. There was someone else, but I know Destiny's Child was there. And I was pretty excited and they took the stage and there were 2 other girls in the lineup. And they went and they did, their stuff. This was Bills era, right? Because that's when all of that happened. I can't remember, I know they did No, No, No and all of that. I can't remember how many songs they did, but Ed Lover was the host. You guys remember Ed Lover from MTV Raps, etc. And when he came back on stage after they performed, he was like, y'all trying to be slick. You act like we don't know or we can't see that there are 2 new members in the group and y'all just didn't say anything. And that's really what happened. Like, there was no acknowledgement. And I don't think the whole headlines had come out yet, but they just popped out on stage with 2 new group members and didn't even, really acknowledge it or say anything, just to kept it moving. Well, we saw a reunited Destiny's Child. As I said, I'm going to call them DC5 because it's 5 of them now. There's only one that didn't make the cut, Farrah Franklin. She's somewhere, living life. But LaTavia, Michelle, Kelly, and Beyonce linked up at the Renaissance Tour in Houston. We all saw that. And then we saw them again last week at the premiere of the Renaissance film. Well, somewhere during that time period, LaTavia sat down with reality TV show producer Carlos King. And, Carlos, he's had some interesting reality TV interviews over the past few weeks. He interviewed Nene Leakes. She was talking about none of the girls are bringing the excitement and drama right now on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Interviewed Kenya Moore. She kind of gave Nene her flowers and basically expressed the same. Can't remember who else he's interviewed. Well, he sat down with LaTavia. I think that we could see LaTavia as potentially one of the cast members on one of Carlos's new reality shows. I just mentioned earlier tonight that he has a new one dropping called Bold and Bougie that will be taking place in Atlanta. I believe that's where LaTavia lives now. So we'll see if she shows up on there. But she became a little annoyed during the course of this interview when she was asked to relay the story again about she and LaToya dating the twins, Brandon and Brian from Jagged Edge, and how that sort of kicked off or impacted their eventual exodus from the group. So let's hear what she had to say.
You and LaToya were dating the Jagged Edge twins.
No, we were.
Okay. So you guys were dating the Jagged Edge twins. Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's rumors that they were in y'all ear saying how you guys were being treated differently.
Well, you know what? That's why certain things are called rumors. Because can't nobody get in your head unless there's something to be gotten in your head about. Me and my relationship had nothing to do with what was going on with foul play being done. Had nothing to do with my relationship. Next. Because I'm sick of people trying to say that and pin that on that. It's ridiculous. It's ludicrous.
So you heard that before?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tired of hearing it. And first of all, we all had boyfriends. Me and LaToya weren't the only ones. No. Okay.
So, one, right? I wonder when this interview was done. Just curious. I like to know details. But just because she seemed to be in a good space as far as her old group members. And certainly, with Matthew Knowles, who obviously was at the center of a lot of that animosity because of, the way that he was treating the girls that weren't his daughters. And we know that Kelly Rowland is not his real daughter, depending upon who you ask. You guys run wild with that rumor. But, Beyonce and Kelly allegedly were treated a little differently. And we've heard different stories behind that and different references of such. So we have heard the story consistently that Brandon and Brian put a little bug in their ear about certain things. Not that they weren't aware that there was some, mess afoot, but also that they, may have given them a clue or two. Not in a, oh, you don't know anything way, just like, hey, we see something as off as well, right? But I do think that her emphasizing, especially, again, it's 20 plus years later, that everybody had boyfriends. I guess that it was being implied at the time that LaToya and LaTavia were the fast ones and that they were being improper because, listen, we know what is the fastest way to break up a girl group? Throw a man into the mix. Any man, somebody's dating someone. Somehow that is going to cause problems for a group of women. We've seen it time and time again. But I guess LaTavia's point was that Beyonce and Kelly, probably especially Beyonce, and we've all heard the stories about her boyfriend Lindell. I mean, really during that time, maybe a short time after that would have been, if you believe the rumors, maybe Mos Def. Maybe they dated. Certainly Marcus Houston, that used to be an immature, was rumored to have dated Beyonce for a time period. So, I mean, and the thing is, I don't even see what the big deal is behind that. They were like 17 years old. That's normal teenage behavior. It's not scandalous that they had boyfriends or that they were chatting with guys. It's perfectly normal and logical. But I do wonder why LaTavia seems to be about this particular thing. Something that is honestly seemingly so small in the grand scheme of things, still seem to be so, uptight about it. This particular aspect, the boyfriend aspect. Andy?
Probably was a bad relationship.
Well, I mean, with the jagged edge thing, I mean, we have
Maybe.
heard some stuff about that, but I think the rumor she's alluding to was very much so. It was said at the time that jagged edge was, trying to get in between the thing, and that they were not, the type of men, and had them participating in the type of activities that weren't becoming of young ladies such as themselves. So I think it has to a little bit to do with that, and how their relationship was positioned in what they felt was to make certain group members look more elevated, and also to point them, LaToya and LaTavia, as being the problem children in the group, and that them wanting to have their own manager or to see the splits and things of that nature was actually disruptive. It's not, but I think that was what was being floated around at that time period. Um, but that wasn't the only thing that she had to say about the boyfriend thing. She admitted that, and again, this is not really new information, but just, revisiting it because we just recently saw them reunited, that it was tough times for her after the group broke up. LaToya recently gave an interview to uh, I forgot the young man's name, but he does the shows. He had LaToya, LaTavia, Kelly as well. And LaToya spoke about how she was okay until she saw them on TV in Dior. And LaToya is a big fashion girl, so she was like, I didn't even know they made Dior headscarves. She felt robbed. She felt robbed at that moment of looking fly. So, and again, they were young girls, so it impacts you differently. But LaTavia shared that she really spiraled once she left the group. And, it seemed to hit her the hardest because we've seen LaToya Grammy nominated singles, gone on to have, a pretty nice acting career in the wake of that. So much so that, of course, I still think of LaToya as a singer, but I mostly think of her as an actress at this point, too. And if we are being honest, I'll let you fill in that blank on your own. As far as acting, I'll let you fill it out. Let's listen to what LaTavia had to say about what happened to her once she left the group.
It's one thing that I've said before. It wasn't just about losing my friends. It was like a marriage gone bad. A bad divorce. To where sometimes it's hard to be able to speak about those things. It's something that I really can't describe because it was such a whirlwind when it happened. And it was just hurt. Like, not because somebody did something wrong between the girls. It was just, for me, it was hurt.
How did you cope with that hurt?
Well, got in my own head. I had daddy issues, all that. Turned to alcohol and drugs. Not that it was going to fix anything, but I was just this young girl that I had a lot. And I had vultures around me and friends, vultures, like I said. And I just did it. I just lived. I don't know. It was just like a smoke screen for me at that time. I didn't know what was gonna come. Didn't know where I was gonna go. I had no idea. I was just living day by day.
I feel, you can tell that LaTavia still has a little pain surrounding this incident. You can definitely hear the emotion in her voice, and that, she went through a lot. She's seemingly doing okay now. But, it's hard. Breakups are hard, relationship or friendship. And especially when it's something like a career that you have been trying to make a name for yourself in for as long as you can remember. And then you're making it, seemingly you're getting over the hump, and then it's just gone one day. Out of there. And you're just back to the way life was before that. And you can't unsee the things that you have seen when you were, in theory, fulfilling your dream. So I know it must have been really, really hard. But I do find it interesting that she chose to do this. And again, I wonder, I do feel like it's a setup for something coming, because they all did those interviews with, and I feel really bad. I forgot the gentleman's name. It was for his season finale of his show. I mentioned it here, but he interviewed all 4 of them, and, it looked like he might have been getting a Beyonce interview. We haven't seen that materialize as of yet, but it seemed that way. And I just wonder if rehashing it in this way, if what we suspect is true, that there might be a Destiny's Child, because we're at the 25th anniversary of the group's creation, if there might be a Destiny's Child single coming out, just seems to be an interesting choice. Not that she shouldn't be able to tell her truth, not that she shouldn't be able to share her story as it happened, but she seemed very triggered in her comments. And I thought, or would assume, that she was in a much better place, at least how she sounds, than where she currently is. Doesn't mean that she's not. It just seems like it's still very raw from her, even though it's been close to 20 years since the group broke up. But we'll have to see what has happened, what will happen. As I mentioned a couple months ago, there is a brand or a redo happening with the Destiny's Child website. So I don't know. I feel like there's some DC5 music that's going to make its way out to us. When we come forward, we're going to have more trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is on the other side.
I don't give a damn 'cause you're a bugaboo. Cut the phone. You're bugging me, and don't you see it ain't cool? Call me on the phone, you're bugging me. Follow me around, you're bugging me. Everything you do be bugging me. You're bugging me, you're bugging me. Show up at my door, you're bugging me. When you open up your mouth, you're bugging me. Every time I see your face, you're bugging me. You're bugging me, you're bugging me, you're bugging me. Throw out my pager, turn my phone on, break my lease so I can move.
Happy Kwanzaa from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. New York City Mayor Eric Adams' administration is seeking a break on the proposed congestion pricing toll for yellow taxis and school buses. Administration officials say the yellow taxi industry has been through big financial stress over recent years, and they should get a full exemption. Mayor Adams, who is black, says he'll continue to share his views with the MTA about making sure traffic is not being displaced to the outer boroughs. Adams officials say municipal workers should pay the congestion toll. Officers with the Anchorage Police Department are now wearing body cameras. KTUU-TV reports the department has equipped 54 officers and their vehicles with cameras, and a total of 350 body cameras are expected to be installed in the coming months. The move comes after the Alaska Black Caucus filed a lawsuit against the city earlier this spring over the delay in getting the cameras implemented. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black. Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with one of the panelists, the owner of Kids Love. Take a listen.
So Kids Love, KIDSLUV, is a first-to-market zero-sugar, vitamin-enhanced functional beverage for kids.
So the zero sugar is really important because if not, the sugar gets on the teeth, it can cause cavities. So as a mom, I love this. Vitamins and hydration in one. Tell us what's happening here with Chase Bank today.
So I would say, I think what Chase is trying to do is create a community, actually, for entrepreneurs, a place where people can go. They have the space to do it. It's a beautiful space. And to be able to have these conversations. There are so many benefits to being a women-owned and certified business, from a standpoint of getting into stores, not paying the slotting fees of what it takes to be in stores. So I think Chase is trying to bring awareness to a lot of the things that people just don't know about, that not only the bank can help, but outside of the bank, their relationships can help create.
That's beautiful. And I know, this is how we build equity in communities of color, is kind of spreading that information and that knowledge. So thank you for being here today and doing your part and letting these women know that it is possible.
For KBLA 1580, I'm Maisha Cairo in the community with Chase.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Taking my baby to school, then I pray for it, 'cause you they never been cool, writing testament, painting pictures, put me in the Louvre, that's a definite, universal shift, I'm in the groove, a celebrity do not mean integrity, you fool, I'm a good man, shake your hand, firm grip rule, 72 wins, lost 10, ballin' with the flu, more than 2 M's, for a show, but add another 2, little man, the big man's the GT down and flipping the kickstand, rich, broke phone, trying to keep the balance, I'm staying strong, stop playing with me before I turn into a song, stop playing with me before I turn you to a song, hey, I'm attractive, can't with you no more, I'm fasting, I'm attractive, can't with you no more, I'm fasting, the morality can wait, feedback on low latency. I'm glitching from the face as my thoughts grow sacredly. I'm running out of space. Ask Whitney, she okay? Never mind 100K. Why you lying on Benjamin? He turning in his grave. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't get it. The way the aloof Buddha. I'm Christ with a shooter. Praise to Muhammad. I might lose ya. AP, Michael Friedman. My friend's cooler. Primary, so the resale face stupid. I would never live my life on a computer. IG get you life for a chickabooya. More power to ya. Love him from a distance. Why you always in the mirror more than the And my cousin tried to sue me like he got the privilege, but I didn't lose sleep cause I got the spirit. Hey, rich, broke phone, trying to keep the balance, I'm staying strong. Stop playing with me before I turn you to a song. Stop playing with me before I turn you to a song.
Or a topic.
I'm attractive, can't put you no more, I'm fasting.
I'm attractive. Welcome back into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Kendrick, Rich in Spirit. That's a jam. I really enjoy that song, especially the part where he says, you know, chick, I'm attractive. Stop playing with me before I turn you to a song or a topic on my show. I'm just playing.
Have you seen the video?
I feel like I have briefly.
It was a unique video.
That's the one with like the movement, like it's slow motion, right?
Nah,
no.
He's kind of like, he's in a red suit, if I'm not mistaken. He got these dangling earrings on, and it's like, you know, he just grooving.
He just vibing. I'm gonna have to go look it up.
It's eclectic. That's probably the best word.
Okay, I have to go look it up. I appreciate. It's funny because there was a conversation. Well, I guess it started based off of kind of the Lenny conversation, right? And you think about acts like Prince or their artistry, or, you know, Michael Jackson used to theme out every album. Beyonce is someone who picked up on that a little bit. Janet, obviously. And we kind of don't get that as much from artists anymore, but we obviously, Kendrick is someone who pushes the creative envelope, gives us stuff to think about, and his projects are very layered and rich, and I feel like he touches all senses. But do you think, right, because you think about Section 90 Kendrick, he had some motion, he had, you know, people were up on him, but do you think if Kendrick, the artist, would have dropped 20 years ago, he would be as revered as he is now? Because I kind of don't.
20 years ago is what year?
20 years ago would be 2003, so we're still coming off of the shiny suit, blingy era, Ja Rule, holla holla, that type of thing.
I think he would work.
You think he would work?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why. I forgot what year it was, but it was early in his career. I'll never forget. I believe it was The Game, Snoop, and some other West Coast artists. They literally passed him the torch.
That was very early on,
It was very
right?
early in his career. I want to say maybe before Good Kid, Mad City. I'm not really too sure.
I think so. I feel like it was off of the Section 80 mixtape.
So, you know, just that is a huge deal. And then if we're talking 20 years ago, 2003, the West wasn't popping like that. They weren't popping until The Game came.
Yeah, we had, who was out then? Probably Exhibit, J.O. Felony, stuff like that.
Exactly. You know, we were still, you know, feeling the whole impact from Tupac and Biggie getting killed or whatnot. You know, DMX had his run, and then of course, you know, Ja Rule and Jay-Z.
You know what
and all
I
of them.
think it was? I don't even think it was I think it was the South had something to say.
Well, yeah. At that time, the South was running things. 2003, that was all Little John right there.
Little John, and what, Luda came out,
Luda,
2000, 2001, something like that.
T.I. was just coming out. So
Nelly.
Yeah.
I'm saying, look, Rubber Band Man, wow, that's the Taliban.
That's so crazy. I was not a big fan of T.I. trap music at that time.
You weren't? I was.
Because, you know, when he first came out with I'm Serious, with the Beanie Man record.
I
was feeling him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, it was just like, he disappeared. And I was like, what happened?
Didn't he go to jail?
I don't know what it was.
Maybe
it was jail. Then he came up with the whole trap music. The 24s, I wasn't a big fan. Rubber Band Man, it took a while for me to,
to warm up to that
record. But to
I'm
me,
Serious was my jam.
That was my jam. But Urban Legend 2004 T.I. is when I was like, okay, I'm rocking with you. That's a Bring 'Em Out, ASAP, Motivation. And then from that point on, I think just musically, T.I. was popping.
Really what, mid-2000s, T.I. was the guy.
The man. He was the dude.
He was him.
ATL, the movie, he was definitely that guy.
He for sure was him. I forgot about that. I do feel like, I just think it was an interesting time, this wave we bet on. And was it is it Cali Swag or the New Boys that kind of brought West Coast back into prominence?
Nah, The Game.
Oh yeah, how am I missing? You just said it.
Yeah, 2005, The Game, and then
first thing. Yeah.
And then I remember J-Rock's name bubbling.
True.
Same camp, and it seemed like K-Dot kind of took over.
Schoolboy Q,
that was a little bit after Kendrick was popping.
Game, like the first album, how we do, whatever, him and 50, but
G Malone, that's actually who
Glasses Malone.
Glasses Malone. He was the guy after The Game that was supposed to blow up in the West,
but it never really happened.
Never really. I mean, he did records with Lil Wayne and Rick Ross and all them, but
he never
plateaued.
Yeah, he never really. And now he goes everywhere talking about crazy Tupac stuff and doing interviews. I don't know.
And then that's when the YGs, the New Boys, that whole jerk movement, that's when, the West, you could say, grabbed it right back.
I'm glad you mentioned YG, because there is a method to my madness in bringing this up, and we're going to get to the rap girlies too. But Ben J from the New Boys said that YG stole his old style. And I haven't listened to the whole interview. I just saw the little smash of it he took to, his Insta stories or Instagram Live to complain about this. But I was sitting there thinking about it, because you think about the New Boys, they were kind of like, when the jerk movement came back into play, other things, which one do you think, Cali Swag or New Boys? Because Cali Swag was Cat Daddy, right?
No, Cali Swag was Teach Me How to Dougie.
Okay, Teach Me How to Dougie. Look, I'm getting them all mixed up. I was not in the age demographic, but I had people that were, so they were trying to keep me informed. But which group lost a member?
Cali Swag.
Okay. And that totally kind of derailed their movement. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think about early YG, right? And he was a little different, but I feel like the first song I heard from YG was when he hopped on the Up remix.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first introduction to YG.
I don't know about YG stealing Ben J's flow or whatever the case may be. I think a lot of it has to, you got to give major props to DJ Mustard.
Facts.
I think there was a sound that LA music made a shift from, the Dr. Dre's, the DJ Quick. Mustard came in, and I think you had no choice but to rap.
Mustard on the beat.
Yeah, it was a new kind of flow. But I give more credit to DJ Mustard and his production, allowing the flow to be that way, if that makes sense.
It does. I see what you're going with that. Because he set the tracks up where kind of your voice is going to do what it needs to do to fill in the space of the track. So, all right, well, listen, the rap girlies, we know we've had City Girl Summer, Hot Girl Summer. I think the City Girls have eclipsed a bit. We'll see what happens. I'm not writing them off. I'm just saying something's changed. But there's new rap girlies on the rise, right? And not the ones that we constantly hear about. This time, we got some commentary from, what is it, Sid the Kid, or is it Sid the Man? I forget her name, and Rennie Rucci. Ken the Man and Rennie Rucci. Rennie Rucci I'm familiar with. Ken the Man, still learning about. It. That is something that I'm still adjusting to. Like a girl says, I'm king or I'm daddy when they're claiming the thing. It's an interesting time period. Sometimes I'm like, what does that really mean? What are you saying? Anyway, they were discussing what type of men they feel are appropriate for their relationships based on where they're at. And, people always have a lot to say about the choices women make. But I think that their approach is kind of smart. We just talked about, the little tiff that happened with Destiny's Child when they were dealing with the Jagged Edge guys. And maybe, whether or not it was all the way true, we know some conversations naturally happen when you work in the same industry and are kind of under similar conditions. So the rap girlies have a new position on how they will select their mate, and they're going to stick to it. So let's hear what they had to say.
Y'all want a rich man or a man that's average?
A rich man can be average, so you got to be more detailed.
That's a bar.
Well, do you?
I give some.
Would you want a 9-to-5 dude?
As long as he can take care of things a man's supposed to take care of.
Okay, if he couldn't get you the bags, the jewelry, stuff like that, but he was a great man, would you?
You can't talk to people that can get their own stuff. That's why I be saying, like, I want somebody on my level because he gonna be. Let me tell you from experience. Like I'm not speaking on nothing I haven't experienced.
But what if he care? He make you feel great. He just don't have the funds to do the other things.
But I haven't, because I feel like every time a man don't have the funds, then he always got some kind of little insecurity that don't fulfill.
Yeah, men are really insecure.
Like in the
Especially
funds,
when a woman
is the
got
worst
money,
one.
or she got get attention.
We can't date like that. Like y'all can date a bro. We can't date no bro because they just like we can't.
So listen, I understand where they're coming from to a degree, right? Because what did we just hear from Tiana Taylor? And her man wasn't broke, right? But he still was allegedly intimidated by her success, right? And they aren't saying that, you have to be super wealthy or whatever, but they want comparable levels because it could be frustrating, right? If I can afford to take myself to Cabo for the weekend, right? And maybe your boo cannot. And so it's like, well, do I pay for boo to go? This is feel pretty new. Are we doing that? Do we want to get in a situation with that? You look at people like Mary J. Blige and Kendu and what he did to her. You look at back in the day with what happened with the Supremes when Berry Gordy got into the mix. A man always seems to have direct impact on how far women, especially in music, sometimes in other areas, are able to go. And sometimes jealousy dictates that. So again, they didn't say a super rich man or a super paid. They just said that they wanted to be equally yoked. I think that's fair. If I can go buy a Gucci bag this weekend, you should be able to go buy some Gucci shoes too. And we're both okay with it, if that's how we choose to live life. Andy?
I also heard that if the man wasn't insecure, that he probably has a chance and an opportunity.
I agree with that.
Is that plausible? I mean, can he be broke but have no problem with you being the breadwinner, you breaking bread, you paying for whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I still hold it down on all the other variables in the relationship. But, I'm confident in who I am. I just know you make more money than me. Can we rock?
I think that it depends. Everybody has a different situation. And it depends on what they are looking for. Sometimes we're in positions where we're looking for frivolous things. We're being superficial. We like the solid stuff we care about. We say we do, but do we really? Sometimes not really. Same thing for men. I want a good woman. I want a woman to hold me down. No, you want a chick with a big butt and a smile that's going to be respectful.
Okay, let me specify. I want an attractive woman with a big butt and a smile. I mean, you just got to be specific, right?
You do. You got to call a thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like you got to find your person and rock out. And just, we've talked about this before, but communication is very important. I know that, like, some men, how would they feel if, let's say, for example, if Common wasn't Common dating Jennifer Hudson and someone was like, oh, Mr. Hudson, we can seat you over here, right? Because they're going to focus on the bigger name in the crew. You may laugh one time, but 3 or 4 times later, is it going to impact you? I don't know.
Look, at the end of the day, men and women, just love yourself.
Facts.
You love yourself. Nothing that anybody's going to say is going to bother you. You know what I'm saying? Love yourself, flaws and all.
You think nothing that anybody could say could bother you?
If you love yourself.
You love yourself, but there still can be things where you're like, that was mean. Or, it might be triggering or just something you do not. You're like, how could you even equate me to something like that?
If you love yourself, you know the flaws that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably embrace the flaws that you have. So somebody could come at you and acknowledge a flaw in yours, and it just won't bother you. You could be like, oh, that's mean, but it's not going to bother you.
Maybe, but what if it's something that you're working on that you're sensitive about?
But that's my point in loving yourself.
You can still love yourself and still be sensitive.
That's fair, but do you act upon that sensitivity?
I guess it depends on who you are.
It depends on who you
where you are in your emotional journey.
But I think the key is loving yourself.
I believe that. Forensic accountant says, I need a politically astute woman. And he also says, can't stand a woman who's not civically engaged. We'll get into that on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward. Boom, 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 boom.
Nissan has a car for every driver who wants more. More action. More fun. More guts. More head turns. More adventure. More electric. At Nissan, more is all we do.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Okay. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
I'm Scarlett Johansson. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. You can join the movement to end hunger by donating, volunteering, and advocating. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Forensic accountant in the chat says first Tuesday in November versus first Fridays. Forensic accountant, I think you're doing a lot. Like, come on. You can vote by mail, but voting is important. I'm not saying that. I believe in, people need to be more involved, especially with local elections. But come on, man. You're seeing a nice young lady out and about. That is something that you find out as you get to know her. And that is something that could be adjusted in theory. Is it really a deal breaker if she's not spending all of her time being civically engaged? And what defines that? What's your rules on that? Andy says you sounding like you got a little strong arm to you. Like you might want a Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama combination as far as your relationship goes. Jill, we'll explain. You got a few minutes. Type it out there. We'll read it. So listen, there is a new couple on the scene, and the new couple was dumped by another old new couple that came together. Are you following me? Probably not. Let me break it down for you really quickly. Amy Robach and TJ Holmes, you know that they are together. They were on Good Morning America together. They have their new podcast that's launching next month. Well, guess what? Their exes, Andrew Shue, Melrose Place lovers, Stand Up, and Marley Fiegbeek are dating. They bonded over the traumatic experience of TJ and Amy leaving them, and now they are a couple. I guess this is the happy ending we didn't know we needed, right? That's weird. I mean, I get it. You probably have a lot to talk about, but is it really going to last? And are you really over your ex if you go and get with your ex's ex? I don't know. That just seems a little crazy to me. Anyway, they've been dating for about 6 months now, and they are bonding over the traumatic experience of being cheated on. You know what the source said, It turned into something else, and they're connected over their values. It's bigger than the affair now. We're told that the hurt is over. The duo has moved on. They're not heartbroken and sad. They are together, and everyone has moved on. Well, we'll have to see what develops from that and where we end up with. Listen, tomorrow is Wednesday, so, keep it real Wednesday. We're going to have our friend Trent the artist in the house. I'm trying to debate if I am going to play the rest of the Candy Cane Lane interviews. We have DC Young Fly, Robin Thede, Chris Redd, and Jillian Bell tomorrow, or wait till Thursday. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. And we also have a guest coming in on Thursday, but I'll share that with you tomorrow. Listen, I hope that you had an amazing night, VIPs. Thank you for always rocking with me here. And when we come forward, you will hear the best of KBLA. I hope that you had an amazing night. Signing off, RSVP with Jill Munroe. Have a great evening.